Hello, good people of three count commentaries. Tonight, well, it's come to this. I gotta panhandle. I gotta pull a Dr. Umar. I gotta ask everybody for money. We're we gotta we pulling a Lou Rawls benefit concert tonight. So we have a goal of about $300 for medications and other emergencies that we're trying to get to. I'm not going to do a GoFundMe or anything like that. I'm just going to ask for, small donations. The Cash App is on the screen. Any little bit helps, as we're trying to uh, we're trying to keep some people healthy here, and that's pretty much what we're going to talk about is health, because Triple H went to the White House, and everybody's like, "What on earth is Triple H doing at the White House?" And tonight is kind of the perfect night to do a benefit show. We're gonna try to pull together $300 at the very least. So if everybody here who hears this sends just a little bit, we should get there and be able to at least get us to next week, which ought to be great. So the money will be used for, of course, medication, but also for Ubers, which is transportation to and from doctor's appointments and things like that. So if you have it, please share. If not, you don't have to worry about it. Don't feel guilty. You'll always have other opportunities, I'm sure. But we're just trying to pull through for a short amount of time here. So Triple H goes to the White House, and we're going to talk about this because it's a major, major event. People are very mad at this, by the way. So we might get into some smart tears of Triple H going to the White House, and it's ridiculous the things that people are mad about. But this has a lot to do with the "Make America Healthy Again" um, campaign that Donald Trump and Bob Kennedy and all these guys have been going on for the last several years. Um, Trump said he was going to do it, and now he's doing it. And now people are kind of like, who really cares about sick kids? Who really cares about obesity in children? We don't want Triple H standing next to Donald Trump. Look, I understand. And I don't think this means that WWE is political. Individual people can have politics without the entire company being political. I don't think, well, unless they're using WWE's money or using the logo or something like that on this project, I don't really see the problem here. Obviously, Triple H and Stephanie. Triple H has been a lifelong bodybuilder, and him and Stephanie put out fitness videos several years ago, and I think they flopped. That's why they never did it again. But but it ought to be an interesting thing to talk about here. So we're going to take a peek at the "Make America Healthy Again" agenda, but we're also going to listen in to what Donald Trump and not Donald Trump. We're going to specifically talk about Triple H. We're not trying to make this too much of an issue here about Donald Trump. This is a wrestling channel. Let's be a little bit more focused on wrestling here. But Triple H goes to the White House, and he's going to be involved with some issues that are important to all Americans. I think we've had this conversation before when it comes to Triple H and Stephanie and all of them working together with Donald Trump on fitness. Now, I think this is specifically youth fitness. Um, so we're gonna talk about that. Let's do youth fitness. I wasn't ready. Wasn't thinking about it because I pulled up the "Make America Healthy Again" uh, platform, but then I thought about, like, I don't know. I know youth is a part of this platform, but I don't know if this is specifically what it's about. Okay, so Trump is bringing back the presidential fitness test. So let's look at what this is, and then we'll get into the "Make America Healthy Again." Once again, we're We're trying to reach at least $300 tonight for medications and transportation to and from treatments. And if we work together, we'll get there. So this is the fact sheet. This is what Triple H was at the White House to talk about. Restoring health and fitness for America's youth. Okay. So they're going to have a fitness test because they're concerned about rates of obesity, chronic disease, inactivity, poor nutrition. And they say that these trends weaken our economy, military readiness, academic performance, and national morale. I didn't know we had national morale. The national morale has to be in the goddamn gutter at this point. So it said President Eisenhower recognized the issue when he created the President's Council on Youth Fitness in response to sports on the poor state of youth fitness in America. This was back in the 1950s, I would imagine, because that's when Eisenhower was president. So this was going on for a long time. I know they said that it took a huge hit under Obama. There was an article that said that Obama changed this or something like that, but Trump wants to be a little bit of every past president. So now he's looking at Eisenhower things and deciding he's going to do that. So Trump saying he wants to make America active again. He's just going to use that acronym for everything. Now we got to make America active again. Okay. So it says 2018, President Trump originally revitalized the council, renaming it the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. In 2019, he launched a National Youth Sports Strategy. 2025, May, he had National Physical Fitness and Sports Month. He says America will host the Writers' Cup, the President's Cup, and the FIFA World Cup, as well as the Olympic Games over the next 3 years. So big sport events. So we will celebrate the 250th anniversary of our great nation in 2026. And he says to honor the 70th anniversary of the original President's Council on Youth Fitness. And it must be 1956 when Eisenhower started it, which sounds about right. Okie dokie. So this is what Triple H was there to talk about, was youth fitness. And this is what upset so many people. We're going to play Triple H's comments. I don't know if this is his whole speech, but it's only like a minute. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find a different version of this speech. I'm not shocked that Triple H was going to be at the White House. He was kind of announced that he was going to be there. Last month, I think, when him and Stephanie took that big picture with Trump. So I'm trying to find clips that have Triple H but don't have Vince. That don't have Trump, because I don't want this to make this a Trump thing. Okay. All right, Triple H.
I'm humbled. First of all, I'd like to say the same. Thank you to President Trump. Thank you for this honor. I'm humbled by it. I'm truly honored to be on this. Vice President Vance, thank you very much. Secretary Kennedy, truly appreciate all that everybody is doing for the health and wellness of the entire country. For me, since I was 14, this has been such an important part of my life. Health, fitness, sports, nutrition, all of it. I think learning that at a young age sets you up for success in life. And without it, you're in a lesser place for it. So I look forward to the opportunity to do this. I look forward to the opportunity to help make our youth healthy, help get them engaged in sports, and let them learn what it takes to be successful in life. So thank you very much for the honor. Thank you. Thank you.
Interesting. There was nothing there that was offensive. Triple H just wants to stop with the fat kids, which for a fat kid himself here, I played sports and stayed fat, so I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, that's what Triple H was there for. We're gonna go through him getting flamed later. So we're certainly going to talk about it because, yes, people were very upset at Triple H for being there. I don't understand why they're upset about it, but they're upset, and we're gonna have to talk about it. And we're gonna be here until we get to our goal, which hopefully doesn't mean 1 in the morning. So let's get into the Make America Healthy Again stratagem. This was an executive order that was signed by Trump earlier this year. This damn thing is 73 pages. We will not be reading all of this. Absolutely not. We're going to read the executive summary and some of the other stuff. That's it. So the Make America Healthy Again report, Make Our Children Healthy Again assessment. So it says the establishing the President's Make America Healthy Again Commission, Executive Order 14212 of February 13th, 2025. Yeah, I wonder if Trump had to call Travis Scott. Maybe he called Nelly. Nelly is pretty muscular. Maybe he called Nelly to see what's going on. Nelly, you're huge. You and Ashanti, you look amazing together. You look great. Your baby's great. Great baby. You have the best baby. Anyway, you have the initial commission of the initial mission of the commission shall be to advise and assist the president on how best to exercise his authority to address childhood chronic disease. Oh, so they said the commission shall study the scope of childhood chronic disease and potentially contributing causes, including the American diet, absorption of toxic material, medical treatments, lifestyle, environmental factors, government policies, food production techniques, electromagnetic radiation. They think the kids are becoming Spider-Man or X-Men or that three-eyed fish from The Simpsons, and the corporate influence or cronyism. Interesting. B, advise and assist the president on informing the American people regarding the childhood chronic disease crisis using transparent and clear facts. It says C, provide the president government-wide recommendations on policy and strategy related to addressing the identified contributing causes of and ending the childhood chronic disease crisis. Okay, so on the commission is Linda McMahon, but not WWE. And of course, Robert Kennedy Jr. is the chair. So I'm going to skip ahead to the Make Our Children Healthy Again, which of course is the entire issue that we're here for. Deontay Belladonna says, "What's going on? How you doing, sir? We are doing a benefit show tonight. We're trying to raise $300, and any little bit helps. Again, I hate to put my hands out there and pull a Dr. Umar, but we got to do what we got to do. We need at least $300, and if we can get there, we can get my good friend who is suffering from cancer. We can get her to and from Ubers to and from the hospital and help her get her medication. You know, we don't have to try to do everything, but every little bit helps. So that's what we're doing here tonight, and it just happens to coincide with Donald Trump and Triple H trying to make our children healthy again. So back to the article, page 5 says, to make our children healthy again, we must begin with a shared understanding of the magnitude of the crisis. So they said there's 4 potential drivers behind the rise in childhood chronic disease. The present, the clearest opportunities for progress. One is the American diet. They said the American diet has shifted dramatically towards ultra-processed foods, leading to nutrition depletion, increased caloric intake, and exposure to harmful additives. Nearly 70% of our children's calories now come from ultra-processed foods, contributing to obesity, diabetes, and other chronic conditions. Now, here's an interesting bit that somebody did bring up. I'm going to bring it up right here because it's kind of important. They said, why would Triple H be a part of this? When WWE has sponsorships with like Slim Jim and Snickers and all of these unhealthy things like Cinnamon Toast Crunch. As much as I love Cinnamon Toast Crunch, it ain't exactly like a bowl of salad, right? And I say that's why you have to look at this thing like WWE is separate from whatever Triple H is doing with Trump. WWE itself should not be supporting um, these both sides of this argument. Now, people say stuff like that, but they also miss that there's a lot of nutritionists that are funded by Mars Candy, and we'll get into that later. Okay, people want to talk about WWE and Snickers and WWE and Skittles and WWE and Slim Jims and Cinnamon Toast Crunch, absolutely, but they're not nutritionists. They talking about kids getting active, and part of that is, of course, changing their diet, and but they want children to get more active, play in sports, work out, do push-ups, sit-ups, calisthenics, and all that sort of stuff. So the second point they have in the Make America Healthy Again agenda is the aggregation of environmental chemicals. It says children are exposed to an increasing number of synthetic chemicals, some of which have been linked to developmental issues and chronic disease. The current regulation framework should be continually evaluated to ensure that chemicals and other exposures do not interact together to pose a threat to our health or our children. Now, this is something that even leftists should be on the side of. They're always complaining about microplastics and a bunch of other things that are in our food that you get from bottles of water. Um, Having different things dumped in there, and the fish eating it, bioaccumulation, which is you eat animals that eat junk all day. Um, they're always concerned about stuff like that, so they certainly care about the ultra processed foods because they hate GMOs and they don't like processed foods. The left it was the big push behind organic, which ended up just becoming a marketing gimmick. They were the big push behind veganism, organic eating. Now they're apparently against it because Donald Trump is pushing it. So now apparently they're against it. But they were the biggest drivers of things like veganism. So then you have the lack of physical activity and chronic stress, because American children are experiencing unprecedented levels of inactivity, screen use, sleep deprivation, and chronic stress. So these factors significantly contribute to the rise in chronic diseases and mental health challenges. Well, WWE can help by telling the kids not to watch, 16 hours of SummerSlam this weekend. Shit. You want these kids to sit and watch, 22 hours of fucking SummerSlam over the course of 2 nights. That's you taking advantage of their screen use. But chronic levels of stress is an interesting one because a lot of that is financial. There's also a lot of stress for children when they're in a disruptive household, a disorderly household. So single parent households, parents who are arguing, constantly fighting, these mixed relationships where they have step siblings and or they have a sick parent or somebody who passed away. You can't do something about everything. Like you can't have a cure-all for all childhood issues, but you have to take into account that the government can't do anything about a lot of the stressors that are in the household that are just common interactions with children. School can be stressful. Mom can stress them out. You know, there's a lot of things that the government can't really do anything about. So then they note this over medicalization. Says there is a concerning trend of over prescribing medications to children, often driven by conflicts of interest in medical research, regulation, and practice. This has led to unnecessary treatments and long-term health risks. I have to say, I do not disagree with that at all. I don't disagree with that at all. I'm trying to find that article that I've been trying to pull this article up for a while now. It was about the number of young boys who have been um, who are being who have been diagnosed with ADHD and and I'm trying to find it. Overdiagnosed in boys. It was an article, a very specific article that I was looking at. So that's a journalist resource. I don't think that's it. Let me see if I can find that article. I might have saved it in my bookmarks and then forgot about it. Big Armada says, I wonder if it has to do with individual specific intolerances to certain foods or ingredients, like how some people can eat a lot of sodium or salt and be fine while other people can't. I think that is likely part of it. There's also some people have celiac disease and they don't know anything about it, where they can't eat wheat or gluten. But there's been a lot of increase in that sort of stuff too when it comes to people being um, intolerant to like gluten and things like that. Like I used to never hear about stuff like that when I was younger, and then all of a sudden I started hearing about that shit all the time. I was like, wait a minute, where do all these people come from that can't have to be on a gluten-free diet, or like I know it's basically just an allergy, kind of like an allergy. I don't want to say it's the same thing, but it was. I used to never hear about that stuff when I was younger, and then I started hearing about it all the time. Where, let's see. Uh, Wait a sec. Why would it have results and then say no results found? Why would you do that? Huh? Why would you do that? Again, we're running a benefit show here. We're trying to raise $300 to help my girlfriend out. She is sick. She had been struggling with colon cancer for the past 2 years. I've been funding a lot of her medication and treatment and things out of my pocket, but I'm caught up in a difficult time right now. So we got to get at least through the week. So we're asking for $300 at the very least. Any little bit helps. Send it directly to the Cash App. Thank you all for just being around, even if you uh, can't donate at this time. That's also why I don't do a GoFundMe. I don't think we have to do things quick. We don't have time to go through a middleman. Let's just do this thing this way. It's a lot faster, a lot more efficient. Um, so I can't find the article that I was looking for. I guess I'm gonna have to keep looking for it. But Triple H he was out there to talk about the youth. So let's talk about nutritionists and Mars Candy, because there's a lot of people who are wrestling fans who are saying to themselves, "Hey, WWE are attempting to tell people that they need to be healthy. Meanwhile, they're giving the kids, they want the kids to buy candy bars and Skittles and all this sort of stuff." So this is from 2022. It says group shaping U.S. nutrition receives millions from big food industry. So it said the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics has a record of quid pro quos with a range of food giants documents show. So it says newly released documents show an influential group that helps shape U.S. food policy and steers consumers towards nutritional products, has financial ties to the world's largest food companies, and has been controlled by former industry employees who have worked for companies like Monsanto. There wasn't that long ago where I was kind of on the left, and Monsanto was like the devil, right? You don't hear that much about Monsanto anymore, but there was a time there when Monsanto was one of the most hated corporations on planet Earth, especially if you watched a lot of like Tom Hartman or and stuff like that, they constantly banged on about Monsanto. Constantly. I'm surprised they ever stopped. I guess they found it talking about other corporations also makes as much money, but the left loves banging on about Monsanto. It says documents reveal that the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics has a record of quid pro quos with a range of food giants, owns stock in ultra processed food companies. So this is the Academy of Nutrition, and they own stock in Nestle and all these sorts of things. And it says it has received millions in contributions and produced from producers of pop, candy, and processed food links to diabetes, heart disease, obesity, and other health problems. Said the findings are a part of our recently peer-reviewed study that examined a trove of financial documents and internal communications obtained through a Freedom of Information Act request. So this is exactly the kind of stuff that Trump is talking about here, right? This is exactly the kind of stuff that Robert Kennedy and all these guys are talking about. You have nutritionists whose job it is to make you healthy. They're being paid off by Nestle and Monsanto and Mars Candy. Okay. So Gary Ruskin, the executive director of U.S. Right to Know, says it's incredibly influential. So if the Academy is corrupt, then nutritional policy in the United States is going to be corrupt. If we're ever going to solve problems of diabetes and obesity in the United States and elsewhere, then we're going to have to tackle the corruption in our health institutions. This is a fact. This is actually quite good. It says the Academy says it is an independent voice and has, quote, trusted educational resource for consumers. It lobbies Congress and represents and provides information to 110,000 U.S. dietitians who help people make decisions about which foods to eat. Though the Academy has long received criticism for its ties to big food, that's how you know the leftists are writing this article is big something. Big X, big X, big money, big food. It says the study for the time reveals the depth of its financial ties. The Academy accepted $15 million from corporate and organizational contributors from 2011 to 2017. Over $4.5 million in additional funding went to the Academy's foundation. Among the highest contributions came from companies like Nestle, PepsiCo, Hershey, Kellogg's, General Mills, ConAgra. General Mills, of course, makes cereal, for those of you who don't know that, and so does Kellogg. General Mills is actually in Michigan. I think they're about to leave Michigan, actually. I think they have they had plants up in Battle Creek, but I think they're about to go away now. And it says ConAgra, the National Dietary Council, and the baby formula producer Abbott Nutrition. So the Academy and its foundation also received food industry fundings via sponsorships, which are in effect quid pro quos. A 2015 email, an Academy employee defined a sponsorship as, quote, when a company pays a fee to the Academy or foundation in return for the Academy or foundation to find specific rights and benefits. So they're basically buying these people off. They say the email reveals that the Academy in 2015 was in a sponsorship deal with Abbott, was discussing how the Academy could use its dietitians' influence in pediatricians' offices to push Pediasure, one of the pharmaceutical giant's infant nutritional products. Abbott at the time had in place a 2-year, $300,000 sponsorship deal. I don't know if I told you, but this is in The Guardian, which is a UK newspaper. So they said the Academy owned Abbott stock at the time. So think about that for a second. They own Abbott stock, and they have a sponsorship with Abbott. how are they in any way an unbiased source of information? So when they start talking about make America healthy again, this is the kind of stuff they're talking about. Because Pediasure, they're trying to push it onto children. Okay? This is very, very, very important. And in the middle of trying to make people healthy again. Did the Academy own, okay, blah, 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 it said it also owns stock in companies that it had a sponsorship deal with, like Pepsi and Nestle. Wow. It says that belongs in the Conflict of Interest Hall of Fame, Gary Ruskin said. The Conflict of Interest Hall of Fame. An email from the Academy treasurer, Donna Martin, says, I personally like PepsiCo and do not have any problems with us owning it, but I wonder if someone will say anything about that. Hopefully they will be happy like they should be. I personally would be okay if we own Coke stock. This is amazing. This is the stuff that they're talking about when it comes to make America healthy again. They're talking about stuff like this. These are dietitians and nutritionists who are corrupt, who take money from essentially the sugar industry, because all of these companies are all about sugar. And they're the people that you go to when you have medical problems. Okay? When you're morbidly obese. You're trying to put together a diet plan, and these people own stock, or at least they're putting out frameworks that your doctor may see or use that is then given to you, and these people own stock and are taking money from Pepsi and Coca-Cola and General Mills, etc. How do you expect to get healthy from that? So another 2015 email had an extension sponsorship agreement with National Dairy Council. Under the proposed extension, the National Dairy Council would pay $1.2 million for a package that would fund, quote, support for both the Academy and the Foundation to continue to collaborate, to continue the collaborative work around food, nutrition, and agriculture. Other sponsors listed in the email include Coca-Cola, ConAgra, which owns brands like Ready Whip, Slim Jim, and Banquet. Amazing. It says the Academy at the time in 2015 also in discussion with Subway about how the Academy could, quote, endorse the fast food chain's healthier products. The email shows and discussed a partnership with Mars Candy Bar Company. That's when I got made aware of this, is when they did the deal with Mars Candy. This was years ago. And I forgot, it was some kind of union of nutritionists that got in bed with Mars Candy, and it became a really big deal. You guys probably never heard of it though. In 2015, Kraft ignited a controversy when the Academy agreed to allow the company to put its kids eat healthy seal on Kraft singles packaging, which suggested an independent source to verify the product's nutritional value. Amazing. It's all branding and marketing, bro. It ain't real. This is not real at all. So $4.5 million from companies like General Mills went into a program called the Champions Program, which granted funds to hundreds of NGOs, non-governmental organizations, to support projects promoting healthy eating and active lifestyles for children and their families. General Mills, they sell nothing but sugar and corn and wheat. That's all cereal really is. I'm not saying that, you shouldn't eat cereal. I love cereal. I really do. But if you're a nutritionist or a dietitian and you have a obese child or, a diabetic adult that you're treating, how is this money that you're taking or your organizations are taking from General Mills affecting your decision making? That should be definitely something we should be discussing. It says the Academy didn't respond to specific questions from the Guardian, but directed a response to the study on its website. It denied any wrongdoing, said that the study contains factual errors, and said the study takes its financials out of context. It said stringent guidelines are in place to prevent corporate influencing on its programming. So I'm not going to read this whole thing. It's near the end of it anyway. Okay, so I think this is the same thing. It says the Academy was previously called the American Dietetic Association, has appeared to be under the control of big food interests. Quote, as long as I have been familiar with the Academy, Marion Nestle, a nutritionist and public health advocate who wrote about the ties in her 2002 book, Food Politics, said that the financial ties, quote, raises fundamental questions about credibility. How can the Academy advise the public to avoid ultra-processed foods, for example, if it is funded by the maker of those foods? That is a good point. The issue of trust is critical in nutrition advising. The Academy looks like it represents the food industry, not the public interest. This is legitimate. This is exactly what they're talking about in the Make America Healthy Again agenda. Now, obviously, people would say, if you believe in a free market, why do you care? In that respect, you have to say that these are, I'm pretty sure being a nutritionist is a licensed gig where you have to have a license to do it. And not everybody can do this. I remember seeing an article, I believe in North Carolina, where a guy wrote an article about how he managed to beat diabetes, and the nutritionists, the union, I don't know, I guess you can call it an academy or an association, they actually sued him for giving medical advice in a blog, because he basically wrote about what his diet consists of. And he was the first one that really kind of brought it to my attention that these nutritionists were funded by candy and cereal industry. So this has been going on for a really long time. You know, this is an industry capture. But I still want to talk about the over medicalization of boys, and then we're going to talk about Triple H getting absolutely roasted by these people who are very angry at him. Again, we're trying to raise at least $300 for my girlfriend. We're trying to get her through the week with Ubers and medication and things that she needs. $300 should be like the bare minimum of what we can get. I appreciate everybody. If we could all pull together, I would appreciate it. If you can't do it, that's okay. Maybe some other time. But this is a benefit. I put Lou Rawls in there for a reason. If you guys are old enough to remember, he used to do these PBS marathons where he'd bring in all these celebrities and all this sort of stuff, and they try to raise money. But it's just me in a room with the fan going. So I'm gonna try to make it work. All right. There's articles from 2017 talking about children being overdiagnosed with ADHD. The interesting thing is it's a specific issue with boys, but I'm on very feminist Google, and I'm pretty sure they won't let me look at just boys. So let me go over to something else. Let me go over to DuckDuckGo or something, and maybe I can find what I'm looking for. Maybe that's the issue. Maybe the issue is that Google is feminist and it won't let me find what I'm looking for. Either that, or I don't know how to use a search engine, which that could also be the issue as well. I didn't get the same outcomes. I got slightly different outcomes when I went to DuckDuckGo. I'm looking for a very specific article that I saw. But here's one from March that says that there's an overdiagnosis epidemic. But I think this is about all people. It's not specifically about children. The one I was thinking of is specifically about boys. Because it was one of the things that was written about in the War on Boys from in the book that I have. And I remember looking it up after I read it in that book. Um, let's just do this. Let's just look up. War on Boys. Okay. Okay, I found her book. I have this book. Now let's go with medication. Yep, here's her. I think this is her article. If I am correct, it's on Psychiatry Online. I think this might be what I was looking for. It might be it. Oh shit, it's taking so long to load. Okay, so this is from Arthur Middleton, PMD. The War Against Boys, How Misguided Feminism is Harming Our Young Men. This is from September 2001. It gives it's just a book review. This ain't what I'm looking for, god damn it. Why? Why is this so buried and unfindable? What a disaster this is turning into. This is the worst benefit. This is the worst benefit show ever. That's okay. I'm doing the best that I can here. We're going to get into the roasting momentarily. I promise. I just want to discuss this because if you just take politics out of it, about Donald Trump or whatever, this should be something both sides should be able to agree on. Is that you want children to be healthier, you want them to be a little bit more active, and that childhood obesity and childhood medications and child stress levels, etc. Those should be things everybody should be thinking about. You shouldn't be mad at Triple H because he's a part of that. If he was a part of something else, I would probably say, yeah, you would probably be right. But this, I don't think is quite, in any way. I, I think I'm getting closer to finding it. Now this is from 2022. The article I'm looking for is older than that. But this is about okay, so here it is. That says boys have lower grades than girls throughout their primary and secondary school years. This is from City Journal. That they have more behavioral problems. Boys are more likely to be diagnosed with attention deficit disorder, to wind up in special education classes and to be held back, suspended, or drop out. Hence, they're less likely to graduate from high school. Of course, that creates the education gap, which leads to, of course, the wealth gap. It says lagging school outcomes show up everywhere, from the enlightened Nordics to the hidebound Gulf states. So it's basically saying anybody that implemented feminism, boys started to actively suffer. And one of the number one things is reading. Boys started suffering in when it comes to reading skills. This ain't what I'm looking for, but it has in there what I was looking for, which is that boys are overdiagnosed for attention deficit disorder. but that's not what I was looking for. Okay, forget it. I'll find it eventually. But Make America Healthy Again is all about that kind of stuff. They have some graphs in here. I hate graphs. I've always hated graphs, especially when it's just dots on a damn thing. But there's got to be something else in the Make America Healthy Again. So in the Make America Healthy Again PDF file, they're talking about things like autism and the mental health crisis in the youth. It says suicide deaths among 10 to 24-year-olds increased 62% from 2007 to 2021. Teenage depression doubled from 2009 to 2019, with more than 1 in 4 girls in 2022 reporting having a major depressive episode in the past year. Holy guacamole. It says over 57% of girls report feelings of sadness and hopelessness, while suicidal ideation in teen girls surged 60% since 2010. 60%. I'm sure this has a lot to do with Facebook and being constantly judged, especially physically. I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. It says allergies are more widespread than usual. Autoimmune disorders are increasing. It says skin allergies have increased 7.4% in children under 18. Food allergies have increased 88% between 1997 and 2018. 88% in food allergies. I was just talking about that, wasn't I? And inflammatory bowel disease, including Crohn's disease, has increased 25% over the last decade. So they're saying basically, it could be the food that children are eating. It says most American children diets are dominated with ultra processed foods, high in added sugars, chemical additives, and saturated fats, while lacking sufficient intakes of fruits and vegetables. The modern diet has been linked to a range of chronic diseases, including obesity, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and certain cancers. Nearly 70% of an American child's calories today come from ultra-processed foods. Oh my goodness. So, as you can see, Triple H here is involved with this kind. He's not involved with this stuff. He's talking about exercise and sports. So let's go down to exercise and sports, because that's the part that really kind of affects Triple H and what he's going to be doing on the president's board. That got everybody's really, really upset. Wait, did I pass it up? I think I might have passed it up. Where's sports? No, that's shows all the processed foods. Social media use, over medicalization of the kids. I think sports has got to be after this. Oh no, that's it. That's the end of it. No way. Where's the athletics element? Oh, the decline of physical activity, page 49. Let me punch that in. Physical. Oh. Do. It says over 70% of children, 85% of teens failed to meet the 2024 federal guideline of 60 minutes of daily moderate to rigorous physical activity. Man, nearly 80% of U.S. high school students do not sleep at least 8 hours per night. Sadness and hopelessness among U.S. high school students surged from 2011 to 2021 from 28% to 42%. The kids aren't even sleeping that much. But you would think with depression they might be sleeping more. But all right, so it's the decline in physical activity. It says U.S. children experience a significant decline in aerobic fitness for decades, and an international study ranked aerobic fitness of the U.S. children 47th out of 50. 47th out of 50. It says very few children meet the daily physical activity recommendations. More than 70% of children 6 to 17, rising up to 85% of the teens, do not meet the 2024 federal minimum recommendation of daily moderate to rigorous physical activity. It says several factors contribute to the physical activity deficit. It says in 1969, almost half students, 48%, of K to 8th grade students walked or bicycled to school, declining to 12.7% in 2009. So kids don't ride the bike as much as they used to, or at least not to school anyway. Diminished in-school activities and recess. It says 1970s recess and physical education have steadily declined. Weekly recess time fell by 60 minutes since 2001. Physical education classes dropped by 32% since 1990. In 2025, U.S. public school physical education minutes fell short of Shape America's targets for all age groups. So this is, what Triple H is trying to work on here is get the kids more active, which has obviously a physiological and psychological impact because, one of those things is stress. But now let's get into the fun part. The reason you guys came in here, we went through the educational part. I did my apologetics for it. Now we just get into the humorous part where we listen to people make fun of Triple H. So, it was going to come to this, right? Again, we're trying to get to a goal of $300 here. So please, if you can, even if it's like $1 or $2 per person, that would be really helpful. If you can give more, please give more. We're trying to get to at least $300 tonight. I would really appreciate it if you guys could help me. So let's see. Triple H says, I look forward to the opportunity to help make our youth healthy, help get them engaged in sports, and let them learn what it takes to be successful in life. That's what he said. And one of the responses is, quote, from the guy with a bad heart from steroid abuse. Guy took steroids his whole life. D-ball and trend for all school lunch boxes. He did juice his entire career. It says, the back knee is in the White House. I repeat, the back knee has entered the White House. Brothers of the 1990s, assemble. Our greatest fears are realized at last. Back knee. The back knee is in the White House. Does Amazon sell prayers and vitamins? Asking for a friend. They sell vitamins for sure. You can buy vitamins off of Amazon. You said 6th graders are about to start shooting tests. Oh my Lord, have mercy. Testosterone and juice for all young men. I think there were elements of Triple H's heart disease, which was genetic, but he did take HGH, which probably gave him an enlarged heart, and that's just part of what happens when you take HGH. Is a lot of times your lungs will get engorged. So he no doubt had some issues due to and all of that. So he no doubt. So let's see. Says Triple H youth sports push sounds noble, but it's a drop in the bucket. Kids are glued to screens and schools keep cutting gym class. Yeah, we just talked about this. So we're in a difficult situation here. All of the steroids from the couch potato keyboard commandos. Well, I'm sure he was active before he started taking steroids. But then again, they said he started doing bodybuilding in his teenage years, and usually when people are bodybuilding, that's when they start taking steroids. So maybe. He says, "What the fuck? Triple H is a straight up white supremacist. This has nothing to do with white supremacy. This has nothing to do with white people at all." I mean, just think about this ridiculous stuff. He's talking about young kids getting kids into sports, and then they jumped in here saying that he's a white supremacist. What does that have to do with sports? What does that have to do with sports? That's pretty ridiculous, I gotta say. Um, Somebody says the Triple H that run the Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Prime, Raw, Snickers, all that. Yeah, I mean, we just talked about that. There is a conflict of interest with WWE, not specifically with Triple H, though. Because I think people should. I think it's one of the things that should be pushed. People should not be upset about the government, especially since they're leftists and they all about this kind of stuff anyway. They always pushing veganism and all that shit on people. Health is doing so many roids that your heart explodes. Fucking your boss's daughter and politicking against better people at your job than you are. Again, they're just mad about literally backroom shit, complete non sequiturs to this issue, which is a legitimate issue. Again, we had young men who could not pass the physical to get into the military. Like, that's a national security issue. And that's because of the amount of young men that have been trying to go into the military that were not physically capable of making it. I'm trying to skip over all this stuff about marrying the boss's daughter, but there's so much of that. There's just a whole hell of a lot of that. It says all Paul knows about health is taking enough juice in a lifetime to ruin your heart. It says ask him how he fucked his hearts up so much. It wasn't vitamins and vegetables. I think a lot of those people on the stage have done drugs and alcohol. I know Robert Kennedy has, and Triple H took steroids. So, I mean, but good luck trying to find somebody who is a gym bro who doesn't take steroids. Almost all of them do. There's been a couple of really good documentaries. I think Bigger, Stronger, Faster is one of them. And then the guy who did Bigger, Stronger, Faster, I think he made another one where after his brother committed suicide, and it was about steroids. It's all just steroid jokes. What the fuck does he know about sports? He played sports in high school. Um, these guys are just really angry. And they all just saying the same thing. It's an incredible thing to say as a gas freak who became a success through 30 years of taking advantage of everyone he knew, undermining everyone else around him, and constantly failing upwards. His mind is remarkable. I suppose that's everyone in the room, though. You'll never find people in the room who are specialists at anything, really. Almost all of them have some level of phoniness to it. Triple H is no different. You know, he was never the greatest athlete in the world, but he was in great shape at one point in time. This one is, if the company I was the public face of and my father-in-law was being sued for sex trafficking, and the same father-in-law, along with my mother-in-law, are being sued for young boys being sexually assaulted, I maybe not hang out with a rapist at the center of the Epstein stuff. He misspelled Epstein. I agree with this statement, though. I probably wouldn't be on this stage if the Donald Trump Epstein stuff, but then again, a lot of the ring boy shit happened before Vince and Linda got there. A lot of that stuff happened before they got there, to be fair. Some of it happened afterwards, but a lot of it happened before. They just kind of inherited the problem when they bought the company from old man McMahon. WWE has so many junk food and alcohol sponsors. Yeah, because the people who own the company are the ones who making those deals. TKO makes those deals. WWE doesn't make those deals anymore. But that doesn't mean that you can't promote physical activity among children. Even Snickers doesn't want the kids to fucking die. Who's gonna buy the Snickers that kill all the kids? You know? So even they want the kids to be healthy enough to eat another goddamn Snickers. It says WWE want their youth to be healthy. They should start by taking down the Prime Slim Jim advertisement all over their programming. The crazy thing, here's the weird thing. You can have a heart attack without doing steroids. And everybody keeps talking about, didn't you have a heart attack? Like, yeah, you did. I'm pretty sure there's somebody who ate bacon and eggs every day and they had a heart attack without taking steroids. It happens. Oh, great. The CEO of Steroids and CTE Incorporated is, well, he's not the CEO for starters, but the CEO of Steroids and CTE Incorporated is going to talk to us about being healthy. Well, he's in his 50s and he's in better shape than most people. He did have a heart problem, serious heart problem. But that was around the same time people were dropping like flies. I mean, in 2020, a whole lot of really obese people died during COVID. And a whole lot of them. And that was one of the concerns, that you were severely overweight, that you may die during COVID. And a whole lot of older people with bad genetic issues and a lot of overweight people did die during COVID. Triple H, of course, is still alive. He's still here. Somebody says your NXT brand is pushing a body shaming storyline right now, by the way. You do realize that he's pushing to be healthy, and the young woman in that storyline does not look like that anymore. So it doesn't make sense to be upset about that. That's kind of goofy. I got to tell you. Says he makes it so easy to not want to watch WWE. He could have his political beliefs privately and not do things like this, or the thing with RFK. To be so public and waving the flag this hard is bad business. All it does is make people say, I don't want to support your company. This has nothing to do with the company. I don't see any WWE anywhere here. Just because that's where you know him from doesn't mean that when he goes to the grocery store, he's representing WWE. And he pretty sure he probably has never had a Slim Jim in his life. He probably has never drank an entire bottle of Prime in his life. He may never have eaten Cinnamon Toast Crunch in his fucking life. Remember, there used to be stories of guys who was on the gear, but they wouldn't eat French fries. I think didn't somebody joke about Lex Luger not eating French fries, or something like that, or somebody like Finn Balor. I'm pretty sure Finn Balor's not on the gear, but wrestlers have learned to cut out some of the carbs, and that's usually what people are saying is, and just because they're promoting these things doesn't mean you can't do them in moderation. You can eat a candy bar in moderation. You can have a bowl of cereal in moderation, a couple of pancakes in moderation. You can do that. You don't have to gorge yourself. He said, nigga can't even run the company. Now he's trying to help run the country. He's trying to this is crazy. Somebody posted a picture of an old Triple H with a gigantic back. So Prime has an amount of caffeine that's toxic to children, despite it being largely marketed towards them. So when's that sponsorship ending in order to keep the youth healthy? I don't think that the youth need to drink Prime every day. Okay, you don't need to have like 8 bottles of Prime a day. I think that that's a parent's problem if your child is like guzzling Prime all day. Prime, which is poison, is prominently displayed in the middle of every WWE ring. Not everyone, but most of them nowadays, which is very unfortunate. Funny how this whole thing about the marketing on the ring apron, the marketing in the ring is starting to blow up in their faces, right? Like Vince has always pushed health and fitness. You know, back when during the ICRO days, the World Bodybuilding Federation. This has always been what the WWE's been about, is pushing health and wellness towards children while also selling them poison like Skittles, right? I I often had that problem where I was like, should I, you know, can I get some Icro Pro or should I go and get some Skittles? You know, I don't know. I bought quite a few Slim Jims because of Randy Savage, though. I'm not gonna lie to you. Slim Jims. I don't like Slim Jims nowadays, though. I like the other ones because I don't like mixed beef and pork. Not a big fan of that. But they have like beef jerky that's actually pretty damn good. They have turkey jerky that's pretty damn good too. But that stuff it tends to be kind of tough. It depends on what kind of brand you get. This let's continue. Has he ever once came forward to speak against the roids that wrecked his heart and nearly killed him, as well as having killed co-workers and friends? Or is it all just bullshit platitudes that cover a horrible anti-science agenda? Anti-science agenda. Anti-science. Because whatever they like is science. Whatever you like is not science. Abuse steroids, 0 memorable solo matches or storylines, got in with the squeaky wheels backstage, married the boss's daughter. Yes, tell us about what it takes to be healthy and successful, you goose. Well, he's still alive after having a heart attack and nearly died. You know, he was able to wrestle for 30 years, thereabouts, made a ton of money, and now he's running the company. I think he's doing okay. And that's while being a complete and total moron, idiot. Generous Sharingan says, what is wrestling fans who are typically characterized as obese virgin losers going to tell Triple H about being healthy? They're not. They're just going to call him a hypocrite, which is all they're doing here by saying that he took steroids. It's like, well, you can take steroids and still be a fat ass. Okay. He still had to go to the gym. He still had to work out. I don't give Triple H a whole lot of credit, but I give him credit for the stuff that he did actually do. Roided up 16-year-olds with the mindset of Chris Benoit actually sounds amazing for high school football, not gonna lie. You know, sometimes, and a lot of articles that I've read, that steroid use in high schools is actually quite common. I didn't know that until I think I may have seen like Chris Benoit started taking steroids in high school. And then I started seeing that other people like Brian Pillman, he started taking them in high school too. And obviously he also died of a heart attack. Like there's, you know, because there's a lot of competition in high school and college sports, especially if you're a smaller guy, which both of them tended to be. They both got involved with steroids young, which happens. It happens quite a bit. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is a benefit show. I am trying to raise $300 for my girlfriend's medications and trips to treatment. We'll be going back and forth in Ubers, as well as trying to get medications and other odds and ends that she might need. So we're trying to get to $300. Anything that you can give in the Cash App would be very, very helpful. I would appreciate it. Thank you very much. Let's get back into this. So doesn't the average wrestler die before they hit 65? Well, I don't know if that's the average, but yes. But that's typically a very generational argument. For instance, there's a lot of wrestlers who started in the late 70s, early 80s, who ended up dying very young because they came up during the era of cocaine and crack and pills. All right. Before that, there was not a lot of wrestlers dying from heart attacks and drug overdose and all that kind of stuff. There wasn't a lot of that stuff. During the 80s and 90s and the early 2000s, there was a lot. But that was because of the culture where you had these guys were drinking and popping pills, popping tons of pain pills, and all that sort of stuff. And you don't see a lot of it now either. Like there's not a lot of wrestlers dying from overdoses or even suicides or things like that today, you know? So there was a generation there for about 20 years or so where wrestlers were conking out due to the abuse they were given their bodies. So yes, but it's a very generational argument. Like the guys from Luther's generation, a lot of those guys didn't die from didn't die young from heart attacks and stuff like that. It was very rare. Most of those guys lived to be pretty old too. Nigga can't even run half a mile and has a pacemaker because his heart exploded from all the roids. You got no business talking about the health of the youth. The health of the youth can't even run as fast as he can. Most of these youth are pathetic physically. You know? They're trying to make warrior kings out here though. Wait, what does this mean? What's up with WWE wrestlers becoming cock-munching fags for this yellow dude? Shaking my head, this why Shawn Michaels better. I can't believe that guy used that word. I'm interested. Sure, but if I was told if I didn't run my fat 13-year-old ass in cold weather breathing, that in and out run that mile in whatever time I'd fail. But I'd whoop your ass in 21 on the court. But that ain't physical fitness. Just a memory for today. What is he talking about? Talking about doing suicides, I guess. Suicides suck. It's one of the toughest things to do. I hate suicides when I was a kid. Fuck Triple H, fuck WWE, fuck Trump. Okay, that's very helpful. Coming from an executive of a company who is known for steroid abuse. Yeah. Hey, they don't. There's people who think LeBron James are on steroids. But, and I don't know this for sure. Maybe you guys know. I don't think they test for steroids in the NBA. Because people have said again and again that LeBron James was on steroids, and people are suggesting that he was. But I've never heard of them testing NBA players. Maybe you guys know better than me because I don't follow basketball that closely, so I might be wrong. But I also think there was a joke recently about LeBron James being on steroids. I mean, the steroids don't put the ball in the hoop. So I don't want people to think, too much of that, but it happens. It says professional wrestling to politics pipeline is classic America. Donald Trump, Linda McMahon. Why is Donald Trump in here? He was famous for doing something else before he got involved with wrestling. The 4 times he got involved with wrestling. Linda McMahon, Jesse Ventura, Glenn Jacobs were all involved with wrestling prior to politics. Don't be surprised when you see Triple H versus The Rock in the future. In politics? I don't know, man. It says RFK could hire a physician scientist, guys. Physician scientist. But instead hired a former wrestler who led anything but a healthy lifestyle because he's married to one of his buddy's daughter. Have you seen a more country club administration in the history of the U.S.? This is ridiculous. This guy did not read the American Make America Make American Healthy Again thing. It has plenty of PhDs on there. These guys are just the face of it. That's all it is. The people who do the actual nooks and crannies of this stuff are going to be the highfalutin, high educated types. They don't do these packets and things like that. And Triple H is not about to sit down and write a 73-page note on how many burpees a kid should be able to do in a day. Like, he's not going to do that. He's only there to promote healthy lifestyles, healthy living, and all that sort of stuff, which they should. You know, WWE should promote fitness. All athletics should. The NFL should. Major League Baseball should. They should all be pushing children to get more into athletics. And it stands to reason that it's a sensible thing because that's where their talent base comes from. The more athletic young people you got, the more athletic players you can get in the NBA. You know, the more athletic players you can get into the WWE or into Major League Baseball or whatever. You should want that. But that's probably why the NBA is becoming so international. It's because so many of our young people are not healthy, not good enough to make the teams. It's like the administration is trolling the American public. Triple H, nigga? Fuck. Nah, y'all got it. I don't even know what that meant. Guess the youth of America is about to get a big old dose of roids. They probably need it. They probably need it. They probably need it at this point. You know, there was somebody who was here, and I was trying my best not to even think about him being there, but Lawrence Taylor was actually here. There was an article that detailed this, and I don't see him in this shot, but they say that Lawrence Taylor, who of course used to play for the New York Jets and wrestled in the main event of WrestleMania 11, and he is a sex offender, and he was standing next to Trump, and Trump brought him on stage for this. That was a big mistake. Lawrence fucking Taylor, drug addict, crack addict Lawrence Taylor, crack addict, pedophile Lawrence Taylor. Holy hell, you can't find somebody better than that. You might as well bring out Ray Caruth if you're going to bring out Lawrence Taylor. God damn. Here's another one. Brought to you by a guy who almost died of heart failure from steroid abuse and who works for a company that constantly promotes Prime, Snickers, Slim Jim, DoorDash, etc. Ain't nothing wrong with DoorDash now. Come on. You can DoorDash healthy things. Paul Helmsley is the first human being to be able to walk without a spine or his balls to hold up so he knows what he's talking about. I don't understand what that even supposed to mean. What does that mean? Was that Keanu Carver? You know, y'all got it. What the fuck? Oh, shit. Okay. Wrestlers in WWE used to collect their salary and steroids from the same place. Bad role model. I'd have picked Jerry Rice. That's not a Jerry Rice or Barry Sanders. That would have been fine. Why can't you add Jerry Rice and Barry Sanders? Why can't you add like John Elway and Dan Marino? You can add people. You can add Michael Jordan. Nobody says that these have to be the people. WWE TNA was perhaps if there was an obese, mixed, post-menopause, middle-aged lesbian with a PhD took Triple H's spot in this Make America Healthy Again regime, they would have been more qualified. Yeah, I mean, clearly, they had obese people in these positions before and nobody cared. There's people who are claiming that they're healthy at any size. Meanwhile, people are croaking and, having to take insulin shots. And they had no problem with it because these are all makeup jobs for them. These are not real positions. I don't think the government should be doing this in any way. But I do think the government should promote the optimum lifestyle. You know, if the government must exist and it has to promote things, they should not promote the worst possible thing. They should promote things that are as good as possible, as good as it could possibly be. Not everybody's going to end up being a Greek god. That's not even expected. But they want to tackle certain things that they see are problematic and that I agree are problems. I would say that these things need to be implemented at a grassroots level first. Like there needs to be like I think they do it in Japan because I remember Shinsuke Nakamura is about my age though, but he said that they in Japan they do like daily karate and all that kind of stuff in school. Like that would probably be a good idea. But Americans would not want that. They wouldn't want like contact sports. Like everybody's pulling their kids out of football, so now they're turning to flag football. But like if like regular calisthenics is probably not a good idea because people hate jumping jacks and push-ups. But if you mix it in with like boxing or uh regular sports like baseball, basketball, people will do it. People would be more into doing the warm-ups and all that kind of stuff than trying to do 45,000 push-ups a week. Like that's just kind of ridiculous. People are not interested in that. Sledgehammer attacks in schools about to rise dramatically. Sledgehammer attacks. The guy who was told by his doctors to stop wrestling or his heart will literally explode is giving us medical advice because we're a clown show country. He says, dude exploded his own heart from too much roids at like 50. Not even Hogan had that problem till like 71. And I'm pretty sure Hogan did more steroids than Triple H. He probably was better at taking steroids too. And he was naturally massive. Hogan was like really a big dude. He's much bigger than Triple H at his peak. Hogan was a monster. LMAO, what sports are you engaged in, mate? Grab ass. That's all. Playing grab ass. They always go to homosexuality, don't they? The people who don't think that homosexuality is a bad thing always go to homosexuality to offend you. Why is that? You're always a cocksucker or, a butt pirate for somebody. They always go that way when they want to make you mad. They always go with the gay stuff. But then they'll tell you that being gay is not a bad thing. Man, there is just so many comments here. It's just so many. Let's see. He's pumping those necks and lines full of trend. Goodbye. Some of those guys are pretty big, but they're not. I don't think they're on anything. And plus, they get drug tested now, unfortunately for them. Unfortunately for them, somebody said his voice is getting raspier. It's kind of raspy like Vince's. Well, yeah. I would imagine that he's getting a little bit older, voice getting a little bit saltier. But now he's doing these White House vignettes saying time to make America fit again. They're really, really upset. Now people are wishing death on him. Can't wait for this guy's heart to explode. Because Triple H did the water spit at the White House. Now people are wishing death on him. Oh, shit. We went from 8s to 88s now to 888. This is not a game. Learn to play the game. I don't even understand what that's supposed to mean. We went from 8s to 88s to Triple H, 888, 888. Is that supposed to mean something? Is that like some Nazi shit or something like that? Remember when Michelle Obama pushed healthy eating at schools? Republicans cried and didn't want it. Yeah, because we don't want the government telling people what to eat, which is also why I'm kind of against what the hell Robert Kennedy is talking about. But she also was pushing like Subway sandwiches, which are not healthy, by the way. And this was, I think, right before the mascot, which was Jared, got ousted as being a pedo. I think it was right before, too. Like, not long before. WG Phil says, CM Punk probably punching the air. Imagine if he was still in AEW during this. Oh, my goodness. Can you imagine? Could you imagine? Holy hell. Holy guacamole. America will be fit because America will not have the money to buy groceries. That's if they start listening to, the Mom Donnies and those guys. You won't have enough money to have groceries. But I can't believe he did the water spit at the White House. That's nutty. I'm pretty sure he's going to tell the kids about that one. Oh, my God. I would love to ask his nephews what the hell they think about him. I would love to ask his nephew. Remember when they said pizza was a vegetable because it had tomatoes in it? I forgot what stupid administration said that, but pizza was a vegetable at one point in time. Let's look at that. Let's look that up. Let's see where that came from. Because I remember that, just as you mentioned it, that the food done by the Obama, well, the food pyramid has been shit for a long time anyway. Pizza as a vegetable in schools. Was this Bush? No, this was 2011. So, yep, Obama. Pizza as a vegetable, this is from 2011, depends on the sauce. So it says that part of the nutrition standards proposed by the United States Department of Agriculture, schools will need, this is from NPR, schools will need to use about 1/2 cup of tomato paste in pizza in order for the sauce to count as a vegetable serving. The American Frozen Food Institute says a slice of pizza would literally be swimming in tomato paste. No kid at school is going to eat a piece of pizza that's drenched in tomato paste. Oh, it was Republicans that did this, huh? That's what it says here at PolitiFact. It says that Republicans did it. This is so stupid. These are stupid people. Republicans or Democrats. These are just stupid, profoundly stupid people. This is so dumb. So it says Congress wants pizza and French fries to stay on school lunch lines and is fighting the Obama, this is from Fox News, fighting the Obama administration's efforts to take unhealthy food out of schools. Says the final version of a spending bill released late Monday would unravel school lunch standards. The Agriculture Department proposed earlier this year. These include limiting the use of potatoes on the lunch line, putting new restrictions on sodium, and boosting the use of whole grains. The legislation would block or delay all these efforts. The bill will also allow tomato paste on pizzas to be counted as a vegetable, as it is now. So it's already counted as a vegetable, is what they're saying in the 2011 school thing. So nutritionists say the whole effort is reminiscent of the Reagan administration's much ridiculed attempt 30 years ago to classify ketchup as a vegetable. You should absolutely start looking into where these people hold stock. They're so fucking stupid. If somebody says to you, hey, I think ketchup should be considered a vegetable because it's tomatoes, made of tomatoes. Okay, but what else? Right? For starters, tomatoes are fruits, right? But Do you own stock in whoever owns like Heinz or something like that? Because you have to be that dumb, right? So it says this time around, food companies that produce frozen pizzas for schools, the salt industry, and potato growers requested the changes and lobbied Congress. So it's lobbyists, as usual, doing what lobbyists do, trying to get an exemption. And that's really what all of this stuff is about. It's not that people literally think that pizza is a vegetable. What they're trying to do is, if you're going to have these stupid standards, we're going to try to get a carve out for these favored industries, these favorite foods. So something like ketchup won't be affected if you can classify ketchup as a vegetable, which is corrupt. It's corruption, because under normal circumstances, ketchup would not be considered a vegetable serving. Ketchup is mostly sugar anyway. It's mostly sugar and like water. Most of the time it's just red. It's just red shit. But that was pretty funny. Let's go back to Triple H being roasted. Epstein list? No fucking way. Haven't Triple H reintroduced the Pacer test? You bet your ass, America. Yeah, I don't think you're going to get an Epstein list. I don't think that's going to happen, guys. I know that a lot of people have been trying to get this Epstein list. I don't think that Epstein list is going to actually happen, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think that's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. Somebody says, imagine how insane this video looks to someone who's never heard of Triple H. That's a legitimate argument. That's a legitimate argument. Not everybody knows who Triple H is, and you got this guy spitting water all over the goddamn White House lawn. What the hell's wrong with this guy? You know, you just it makes no sense. Who is this weird man spitting water all over the White House lawn? Somebody says, I generally understand where the no ethical consumption people are coming from with regards to pro wrestling, but at a certain point, you got to be honest with some people and companies going the extra mile to be evil. There's not even a WWE thing. And what is evil about people being fit? That's the thing you have to discuss here. You can't just keep calling people evil and then just saying they're evil. What is evil about people wanting kids to be healthier? There's nothing evil about it. What they're jostling about is how to do it. That's all Congress is, and I don't think they should be even making those decisions. These things should be made really in the household with some guidance from people, you know, who know this stuff. But I've already discussed it. A lot of nutritionists and a lot of doctors, pediatricians, etc., are corrupt. That was the whole point of me reading all that other shit earlier, is that when we start talking about why people can't do this on their own, it's like, who do they trust? You can't trust the government. The government is just full of lobbyists who are gonna, if it's big oil today, big plastic, you know, big sugar, Monsanto, you know, the same people who make like weed killers are also growing your food, and they're spraying hazardous materials all over the fruit and shit that they put in the market. Okay, so you don't trust them. Fine, but are you going to trust the government? And they're trying to turn pizza into a vegetable. They're trying to tell you that now French fries are just potatoes. That's true. But you shouldn't have, like, I've eaten French fries twice this week already. Back-to-back days, by the way. Back-to-back days on the French fries. But I get it, but you're not going to get these kids to eat like tons and tons of fucking kale either. Kale is terrible. It's really terrible. It's bad stuff, okay? But you can find different ways of making things healthier, but it needs to start in the household, you know, because a kid's taste buds is mostly how their parents taught them, you know? So it is what it is. But they're not evil for trying to get kids healthier. It actually fits exactly what they should be doing. But these people are very, very, very focused on calling them hypocrites more than anything. WG Phil says, I wonder if he had to consult with Cody, Travis, The Rock, and Cena about going to the White House. When you're talking about a deal this big, you got to make 5 phone calls. All right? A deal this big, got to call the president to make sure there's plenty of water for you to spit. Got to call the vice president just because he needs to know that you're going to be there. And then you most definitely have to call 50 Cent because he did so many G Unit videos with his shirt off. He knows all about fitness, right? Like 50 Cent was big and muscular. Busta Rhymes, you got to call Busta Rhymes. You got to call Dr. Dre. The big muscular rap guys, you got to call them. This deal is too big for you to make it with just you and the president. You can't do this on your own. You need help. X sounds like, ugh. I showed Trump the card. He said it was cinema. And how's Yokozuna going? Yokozuna, great guy, wonderful guy, wide ass, biggest ass, largest ass in the world, tremendous ass. The government is stupid. It's just stupid. They do stupid stuff. Triple H spitting water at the White House is crazy, though. That's just nuts. Somebody called him Hitler Heinrich Helmsley. These people are just, they're not right. These folks, it's not right. They're not right. WWE has let their mask slip a lot in the last 6 months as they embrace the facial regime. I wish them nothing but failure. The facial regime, not the fascist regime, which is what she's trying to say. The facial regime. And this is a man in a dress. What you know about being healthy? Somebody says, I can't remember when the Lighthouse brand being this cool. I don't know if this is cool. I don't know if Triple H is cool. They're trying to make him cool. They're trying very hard. I actually kind of agree with Meltzer when they say that the WWE Unreal and all this about trying to make Triple H the Dana White of WWE. I do kind of see them trying to do that. I get that. He's at a lot of these events that Dana White ends up popping up at too. And Dana White was at this thing before. The last time Triple H was at the White House, Dana White was there. And Dana White was supposed to be involved with this, but I haven't seen him this time. I'm pretty sure he's going to be involved too. Because he used to be like wasn't he like a boxing coach or something like that before he got into the business of mixed martial arts? Ugh. Like X9 says, why does Triple H do content farm for people who doesn't care for wrestling? Like, what's the point? I think he's just trying to increase his own visibility. You know, like he's living the dream, man. He's got the keys to the kingdom. He's writing the shows that he wants to write. His mother-in-law is in the White House. This is all just, he's living the fucking dream. But can you imagine? And I've thought about it this entire time. This could have been Vince McMahon. And how insane, how utterly over the top insane Vince McMahon would have been in this position as being in the White House. That would have been one of the scariest. If Vince McMahon was in the White House, he probably would have taken his shirt off and shown how goddamn gigantic. Oh shit! Oh my Lord, have mercy! Oh boy, yeah, those facial regimes, they're known for their body count. Huge facial regimes, big time facial regime. Somebody said he should have walked out and did the suck it chop. Oh, that would have been nuts. That'd have been OD right there, man. I don't know if that'd have been OD for the White House, brother. There's a whole lot of fucking wrestlers in the White House all of a sudden, man. Hulk Hogan and Triple H walking around this joint. Very weird, man. But it reaches the demographic that Trump likes. You know, he likes Middle America, and Middle America likes him, and that's what WWE appeals to. Vince McMahon beats the feds only to become president later, decades later. Greatest storyline in the history of life. I know he was still playing around with that president thing, but that's crazy. Even if Vince was just like in a cabinet position or something, I just couldn't imagine. You know, I couldn't imagine Vince McMahon being consulted in any way with some of these very strange things that was going on. Because he's such a weird person, and because he's such an over the top personality, he probably would have done something to get a whole lot of attention immediately. Like immediately over the top. Oh man. Again, thanks everybody for showing up. We're trying to make $300 here tonight for Ubers and medication for my girlfriend as she is undergoing cancer treatment. Every little bit helps. Don't think that you can't help by sending $1 or $2 or $3 or whatever. It's fine. Anything you could do is definitely helpful. We really appreciate it. We're trying to get to 300, but if we can't get to 3, that's fine. We just whatever we can have to work with, whatever we got. Trying to pull this thing together as a community because we believe in voluntary assistance, a voluntary association. Not trying to go out here and force people to help us out. So even if you don't help, I still appreciate it if you would consider it in the future, even if you can't do it right now, because there's always going to be more things that's going to pop up, and that's really been the issue is that stuff pops up. I wish it was some way to plan things, but when you're in bad physical health, anything can go wrong. And so right now we're trying to just create a little bit of a cushion and take care of a problem that just passed. So it's all right, but I would appreciate it very much if you guys would send like $5 or $10 to the Cash App, even $2 or $3 if you got it. I would appreciate it. What else we got here? I kind of hope that the alien invasion hurries the fuck up, or the meteor, pole shift, eruption of Yellowstone, or fucking something. There is no reality where they're looking at a 10-year horizon, scratch that 2-year horizon, being the leader of the free world and being the reserve currency as possible, or they wouldn't be making a mockery of the U.S. Well, I think Triple H is making a mockery of the U.S. Again, he's spitting water on the White House lawn, for God's sake. That's insane. And some people are like, this is legitimately the coolest thing I've ever seen. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. All I know is when I see all of the opposition, a lot of those people look sickly. There's Motorhead playing. I'm not playing the video, so I can't hear the music. But they say there's Motorhead playing. Wait a second. What is going on here? This is like Steiner math level shit right here, guys. Oh mercy, Triple H at the White House from the official White House account, no less. This is too much. Triple H, HHH equals 888. 27-second video. He was born on July 27th. We share the same birthday. Posted at 718, which is 88. He walked through 2 sets of double doors. DD equals 44. 44 plus 44 equals 88. What is happening? Bro, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? This is psychosis, all right? These people are insane. These people are insane. All right? Is this numerology? I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on anymore. This country is this country is in trouble. This country is in trouble. Oh my Lord. Now there's people posting themselves on exercise bikes because Make America Healthy again. The numerology is insane to me, man. That should fuck my head up. I need to figure that out. I wouldn't even thought about that. 888. 2 sets of double doors. 44 and 44. Oh my Lord, have mercy. Look, y'all are upset about pro wrestlers. They had fucking homos having sex in Congress. Like, y'all need to chill. America is definitely off the rails. In terms of a country, we're just so permissive that there was some guy having sex in Congress. There was like tranny leaders of the military and stuff. Like, that's just weird stuff occurring. You know what I'm saying? And the right was embarrassed by that sort of stuff because it was so bizarre. This is an attempt at Triple H trying to be cool. And people are like, oh my God, I'm so offended by this. I'm so upset by this. Like, he's a normal guy doing an abnormal thing. Like, it's really abnormal for you to spit water at the White House lawn. But it's not worthy of the things that these people are saying, and people are hoping his heart explodes. Like, that's insane. I've seen quite a few people say they hope his heart explodes and they hope he dies, and I don't know about this, brother. I don't know. He says, so what's the actual message here? Water make big man mad? Spitting is the new cardio? It says, hey, was it Stephen Chung, press secretary? Was it Kathleen Levitt? You gonna have any fitness in your fitness announcement? Maybe have Triple H do a jumping jack? Just riffing. No bad ideas. He's most certainly not going to be able to do a jumping jack at this point in time. Okay. Obviously, he's down pretty bad. He can't get his heart rate up too much. You can't do that. All right. You can't do that. It says fast food joints in America need more drink options with 0 sugar and 0 caffeine. See, that's somebody who's thinking. Should probably start there, but it seems like the White House is focused more on optics than action. Well, the optics come first, the action comes later, but that's actually a good idea. You know, drink more water. 0 sugar, 0 caffeine. Drink more fucking water. Too many fountain drinks as it is. I don't know what. Well, somebody just posted a really, really, really long thing here, but it's not funny. It's just long. I don't like it. It's long. Triple H walking through the White House isn't just hype, it's narrative warfare. They want a nation strong enough to carry the next system. The gym is the metaphor. The real weight, economic collapse. They're prepping minds for the rebuild. Are you ready for round 2? What the fuck is this? Who is this guy? What country is he from? What flag is that? I'm tired of people talking about American politics with foreign flags, like Filipino or something. Economic collapse. If it's coming, I hope it come quick. Shit, I hope everybody shit collapses. Shit, everybody can be broke. Well, I give a fuck. I don't care. I guess this seemed cool as a child watching wrestling. Now dude just looks like Hegseth's drinking buddy that starts fights at bars. Oh my lord. Triple H can't fight. Triple H ain't never been in a fight. Everybody keeps talking about these Epstein files. I appreciate it, but you ain't getting the Epstein files. I can promise you that. All right, guys. I appreciate everybody for stopping by again. There's not a lot of funny left here. There's a lot of people doing the Epstein stuff, talking about Triple H's heart exploding, steroids and everything. You know, very weird shit we got going on here. Again, if everybody can pull together and we can get $300, that would be very nice. Again, nothing is too small, even if it's like 50 cents, whatever it takes. You know, and we'll try to get what we can done for the week. And I really appreciate it. So, wait a minute. Somebody just posted a picture of Triple H and the dog from Tom and Jerry. Oh, that's funny. I wish I could show you this picture because it's funny as shit. They said, I'm not taking health advice from a man who was once built like the letter M from how much steroids he was on. He was built like the letter M. That's tremendous. He was bulky as shit when he came back in 2002. He was massive. That's fantastic. Oh, that's good shit. That's good shit. All right, guys. I will see you guys well, I don't know if I'll be doing a show this weekend. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll do another benefit show later. But I appreciate everybody for stopping by. You just listen and just browsing. I appreciate it. If you can, please go to the Cash App and send what you can. Let's see what we can do. Thank you guys for your time. Peace and blessings. I'll talk to you guys later.